After 2 decades of marriage, a couple was lying in bed one evening when the wife felt something surprising. Her husband gently touching her in a way he hadn't in a long time. It was tender and teasing, starting at her neck and slowly tracing down the curve of her spine. His fingers wandered with care, across her shoulders, down her side, lingering over her lower back and stomach. She let out a soft breath as he continued. His hand moved down her arm, then traveled gently across her hips, brushing between her cheeks, down one leg to her calf, then up her inner thigh, just stopping short. He mirrored the same motion on her other side, slow, methodical, intimate. Then, suddenly, he stopped. He rolled over and went completely still. Aroused and a bit confused, she turned to him and whispered, "That was amazing. Why did you stop?" Without missing a beat, he replied, "I found the remote." A girl goes into the doctor's office for a checkup. As she takes off her blouse, he notices a red H on her chest. "How did you get that mark on your chest?" asks the doctor. "Oh, my boyfriend went to Harvard and he's so proud of it that he never takes off his Harvard sweatshirt." "Even when we make love," she replies. A couple of days later, another girl comes in for a checkup. As she takes off her blouse, the doctor notices a blue Y on her chest. "How did you get that mark on your chest?" asks the doctor. "Oh, my boyfriend went to Yale, and he's so proud of it that he never takes off his Yale sweatshirt." "Even when we make love," she replies. After a few days, a third girl comes in for a checkup. As she takes off her blouse, the doctor notices a green M on her chest. "Do you have a boyfriend at Michigan?" asks the doctor. "No," she replied, "but I have a girlfriend at Wisconsin." A woman was breastfeeding in the bus the other day, and suddenly this old lady gets up and starts screaming, "You can't do that here, have you no shame, in front of everyone?" Everybody turns around, the old lady keeps screaming, the woman with her baby stands here mortified. I had to pull my pants back up and get off the bus. A husband and a wife over their marriage had 8 kids. One day, the husband notices that their 6th kid, Billy, looks very different from the other 7. The husband goes to his wife and asks her, "Honey, I noticed that Billy looks different from the other children. Did you have an affair?" The wife starts to break down into tears and nods her head. The husband, heartbroken, quietly asks his wife, "So who is Billy's father?" "You." A sailor who was just married had to return to his station in the South Pacific, far away from his new wife. When he got to his base, he wrote her a letter. It said, "We're going to be apart for a long time, and this island is full of young, attractive local girls. I need something to take my mind off it." His wife sends him an accordion with a note saying, "Learn to play this then." Finally, he comes home from his tour of duty. He rushes into their house and exclaims, "Honey, I can't wait to get you into bed." And she replies, "First, let's see how well you play that accordion." A man named Jimmy walks into a bar. He sits down at the bar and notices a couple lines of people standing at the other side of the bar. Jimmy asks the bartender, "What are those people standing over there for?" The bartender replies, "Oh, the owner has a nice system set up for people who can't pay their tabs. He really enjoys causing others pain, so if you stand in the first line, you can get kicked by the owner, and he lets you go free. In the second, the owner gets to twist your as hard as he wants, but again, you get to go for free." Jimmy responds, "Wow, what an interesting system. You know what would make it a lot better?" "What's that?" asks the bartender. "If there was a punchline." The interviewer asked him to follow one rule. A guy goes to the post office to apply for a job. The interviewer asks him, "Are you allergic to anything?" He replies, "Yes, caffeine. I can't drink coffee." "Have you ever been in the military service?" "Yes," he says. "I was in Iraq for 2 years." The interviewer says, "That will give you 5 extra points toward employment." Then he asks, "Are you disabled in any way?" The guy says, "Yes, a bomb exploded near me and I lost both my tests." The interviewer grimaces and then says, "Okay, you are a disabled veteran. You've got enough points for me to hire you right now. Our normal hours are from 8 o'clock in the AM to 4 PM. You can start tomorrow at 10 AM. You should plan on starting at 10 AM every day." The guy is puzzled and asks, "If the work hours are from 8 AM to 4 PM, why don't you want me here until 10 AM? "This is a government job," the interviewer says. "For the first 2 hours, we just stand around drinking coffee and scratching our balls. No point in you coming in for that." A newly married couple make their way to bed, and everything is going well until... Oh, look at that. "What's wrong with it?" cries the bride. "It's just my junk," says the groom, offended. "Yes, but what's wrong with it? They're not supposed to look like that. It's all twisted." "That's what they look like," he replies. "Have you ever seen another man's junk?" the bride demands. "Well, no, but but I'm normal. This is what they look like." "No, they don't," she tells him. "It's warped. There's all grooves around it. It's supposed to be smooth and straight." Long story short, the argument isn't settled and the marriage remains unconsummated. Next day, the newlyweds are walking around town and the groom announces he needs the bathroom. "There's a public gents over there," says the bride. "And while you're in there, take a look at the man next to you. See if his is the same as yours." The groom goes in and returns in a few minutes, looking very crestfallen. "You're right," he says. "They are supposed to be smooth and straight. And I found out what I've been doing wrong." "What?" "Well, they all shake theirs dry. I've been wringing mine out." Betty's washing machine broke down, so she called a repairman. She told him, "I'll leave the key under the mat. Fix the dishwasher, leave the bill on the counter, and I'll send you a check. Oh, by the way, don't worry about my bulldog Spike. He won't bother you. But whatever you do, do not, under any circumstances, talk to my parrot. I mean it. Don't talk to my parrot." When the repairman arrives at Betty's house the following day, he discovers the biggest, meanest-looking bulldog he has ever seen. But just as Betty had said, the dog just lies there on the carpet, watching him go about his work. The parrot, however, drives him nuts the whole time with his incessant yelling, cursing, and name-calling. Finally, the repairman can't contain himself any longer and yells, "Shut up, you stupid, ugly bird!" To which the parrot replies, "Get him, Spike!" 4 friends spent months planning the ultimate girls' getaway trip. Shopping sprees, a weekend at the casinos, relaxing massages, and rejuvenating facials. Just 2 days before departure, Susan's husband put his foot down and declared that she wasn't going. Susan's friends were devastated that she couldn't join them, but what could they do? Fast forward to the day of their arrival at the hotel, and to their surprise, they found Susan already at the bar, sipping a fancy cocktail. "Wow! How did you manage to get away?" one friend exclaimed. "And how long have you been here?" Susan grinned. "I've been here since last night. You won't believe how I convinced my husband to let me come. So, picture this. Yesterday evening, I was lounging on the couch when he snuck up behind me and covered my eyes, saying, 'Guess who?' I pulled his hands away and found him wearing nothing but his bathrobe. He took my hand and led me to our bedroom, which smelled like roses and had 24 candles lit everywhere. There were rose petals scattered all over the place, and on the bed was a little surprise waiting for me." With a mischievous glint in her eye, she continued, "He told me to get ready for a fun evening, and once I did, he said, 'Now you can have some fun.' So here I am, living my best life." The friends burst into laughter, clinking their glasses. "Looks like we found the ultimate girls' trip after all." My neighbor Sam has always been a bit of a mystery. He's single, charming, and has a smile that could light up the whole block. He lives just across the street, and I often see him coming and going in his vintage car, always looking like he's up to something interesting. This evening, just as I was winding down after work, I noticed him walking toward my house. I wondered what was up as he came right up to my door and knocked. When I opened the door, he grinned and said, "Hey, I just got home and realized it's the perfect night to let loose, have a few drinks, and really enjoy myself. Are you free?" I couldn't help but smile at the invitation. "Absolutely," I replied. "Kid, count me in." "Awesome," he said. "Could you take care of my cat for me?" Little Johnny, just 6 years old, came home from school looking a bit red in the face. He had his very first family planning lesson that day, and his mom couldn't wait to hear all about it. "How did it go, Johnny?" she asked, eager for the details. Johnny sighed dramatically. "I was so embarrassed, Mom," he said. "Oh dear," she replied, trying not to laugh. "Why was that?" "Well, Annie from across the street says babies come from storks. Sally, who lives next door, says you can just buy babies at the orphanage. And Timmy from my class says you get babies at the hospital." His mom chuckled. "But that's nothing to be embarrassed about, is it?" Johnny sighed again, this time with a touch of exasperation. "No, Mom. But I didn't have the heart to tell them that you and Dad were so broke, you had to make me yourselves." A man tried to board an overly packed bus, only to be pushed back by the people inside. "There's no room," they exclaimed. "It's full up." "But you have to let me on," the man protested. "Oh yeah, and why's that?" one of the passengers shot back. "Because I'm the driver," the man replied. The fancy watch and heavy suitcases. Jake was lugging 2 massive suitcases through a bustling bus station when a stranger approached him. "Got the time?" the stranger asked. With a weary sigh, Jake set down his bags, glanced at his wrist, and replied, "It's 6:15. The stranger's eyes widened. "Wow, that's some impressive watch you have there." Jake brightened up a bit and said, "Oh, you haven't seen anything yet." He tapped a button, and suddenly the display showed the time in every time zone around the world. Another button, and a voice announced, "The time is 6:11. Jake explained, "It even uses different regional accents for each city. And the display? Unbelievably sharp, right? The voice quality is incredible too." The stranger was awestruck. "But wait, there's more," Jake said with a grin, tapping another button. A miniature map of New York City appeared, complete with a flashing dot marking their location via satellite. "See, real-time location tracking. I have to buy this watch," the stranger exclaimed. Jake shook his head. "Oh, it's not for sale, still working out some bugs. But check this out." He proceeded to show off the watch's FM radio, a sonar device measuring up to 125 meters, a pager with a thermal printout, and even a voice recorder with enough space to store 300 full-length audiobooks. The stranger was sold. "I don't care. I need this watch. I'll pay you $1,000. No, you don't understand," Jake replied, shaking his head. $5,000, the stranger insisted. Jake hesitated. "Fine, $15,000. The stranger whipped out his checkbook and started writing, his hand shaking with excitement. Jake thought it over. He had only invested about $8,500 into the watch, and with $15,000, he could build another one and maybe even start mass production. The stranger thrust the check into his hand, sealing the deal. "All right, it's yours," Jake said, handing over the watch. The stranger practically skipped away in excitement, but Jake called after him. "Hey, don't forget your batteries." He pointed to the 2 massive suitcases. "They power the watch." At school one day, little Johnny's teacher asked the class to use the word contagious in a sentence. Cindy raises her hand. "Yes, Cindy?" She answers, I was at the dentist's office with my mom and she said not to play with the toys in the waiting room because the other kids were contagious. Very good, Cindy, the teacher said. Anyone else want to try? Samantha raises her hand. Yes, Samantha. She answers, my dad tells me not to yawn because then everybody else yawns. He says yawning is contagious. Excellent work, Samantha. Very creative, the teacher praises. Okay, one more volunteer. Little Johnny raises his hand. Yes, Johnny. Well, he says, I was helping my dad in the yard last week and we saw the neighbor painting his house. He was using a small brush, so I asked my dad, Daddy, why is he using such a small brush? And he says, I don't know, son, but it's gonna take that contagious. A guy flags down a passing police car. Officer, you gotta help me. My car's been stolen. Sir, are you sure it was stolen? It looks to me like you've had a bit to drink tonight. Are you sure you know where you left it? Certainly I do. Don't be ridiculous. It was right here on the end of this key. Sir, why don't you have a seat in the car and I'll take you down to the station where they will take a report about your car. Before we do that, I'm going to have to tell you that your fly is unzipped and you're exposing yourself. You need to tuck yourself back in and zip up. Oh my God, they got my girl too. A Jets fan walks into a bar with his dog. The bartender says, Hey bud, no pets allowed in here. The man says, But wait, this is a special dog. You have to turn on the game to see. When the Jets score, my dog does flips. Sure enough, when the bartender turns on the game, the Jets make a few field goals and the dog starts flipping and jumping after each kick. Wow, said the bartender, amazed. That's great. What does he do when they score a touchdown? I don't know, I've only had him for 2 years. A young monk arrives at the monastery. He is assigned to helping the other monks in copying the old laws of the church by hand. He notices, however, that all of the monks are copying from copies, not from the original manuscript. So the new monk goes to the head monk to question this, pointing out that if someone made even a small error in the first copy, it would never be picked up. In fact, that error would be continued in all of the subsequent copies. The head monk says, You make a good point, my son. He goes down into the dark caves underneath the monastery, where the original manuscripts are held in a locked vault. Hours go by, and nobody sees the head monk. The young monk gets worried and goes down to look for him. He sees him banging his head against the wall and wailing, We missed the R, we missed the R. We missed the R. Father, cries the young monk. What's wrong? The head monk with tears in his eyes replies, The word is celebrate. 3 sons left home, went out on their own and prospered. Getting back together, they discussed the gifts they were able to give their elderly mother. The first said, I built a big house for our mother. The second said, I sent her a Mercedes with a driver. The third smiled and said, I've got you both beat. You remember how Mom enjoyed reading the Bible? And you know she can't see very well, so I sent her a remarkable parrot that recites the entire Bible. It took elders in the church 12 years to teach him. He's one of a kind. Mama just has to name the chapter and verse, and the parrot recites it. Soon thereafter, Mom sent out her letters of thanks. Milton, she wrote one son, the house you built is so huge. I live in only one room, but I have to clean the whole house. Gerald, she wrote to another, I am too old to travel. I stay most of the time at home, so I rarely use the Mercedes. And the driver is so rude. Dearest Donald, she wrote to her third son, you have the good sense to know what your mother likes. The chicken was delicious. A woman went to doctor's office. She was seen by one of the new doctors, but after about 4 minutes in the examination room, she burst out screaming as she ran down the hall. An older doctor stopped and asked her what the problem was, and she explained. He had her sit down and relax in another room. The older doctor marched back to the first and demanded, "What's the matter with you? Mrs. Terry is 63 years old. She has 4 grown children and 7 grandchildren, and you told her she was pregnant." The new doctor smiled smugly as he continued to write on his clipboard. "Cured her hiccups, though, didn't it?"